What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Well Encounter. You are at the Well Encounter live, and it's your boy, Pastor Ramon, aka Pastor Ray, and I am extremely excited to be back with you guys. Man, listen, to all my Williams out there, let us know that you are here. So why don't you go ahead and comment if you're here, like this post, take a moment to share this post. It's been a minute, man. I just want to take a moment to also say a shout out to all the beautiful queens, amazing queens that held it down in March. We had our Women's History Month, and our women held it down. So if you were part of that, or if you were watching, go ahead, feel free to drop a shout out to all of the beautiful queens, wonderful, amazing queens that were on in the month of March. Let them know how much you love them. Send them some love. Show them some love. Listen, when you are part of the well, you know what time it is. It just means that our slogan here, our motto here, is that you encounter the well. You become the well. You emerge and share the well. And we know that's synonymous with things like you encounter love. You become love. You emerge and share love. You encounter Jesus. You become like Jesus, and you emerge and share Jesus. If you encounter grace, you become grace, and you merge and share grace. Whatever that looks like, we want you to share that with the community. All right. And then we want you to, for everything that we do here, right, it should lead you down a path. We believe that you don't do anything just for no reason. Everything that you do, it should lead you down a path. And our specific path, it just so happens that everything we believe it should lead you to starts with the letter P. So we call it the path to the 5 Ps. Every encounter should lead you to your passion. It should lead you to your purpose. It should lead you to your promise. It should lead you to your peace. And it should lead you to your power. Those are the 5 Ps that we embrace here at the Well. So we hope that you are experiencing those 5 Ps in some area of your life. And if you're not, well, we got to do a better job of making sure that we lead you down that path. Listen, we have an amazing, amazing month stored up for you. So again, if you're in tune with us, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're on Facebook watching, hit the like button and comment. Just leave a comment. Let us know you're here with us. Say hello, something like that. I see Minister Kim Carr is on. Miss Nikki is on with us. She's commented already. And then, of course, share it. Go ahead and share this to your community. Share this to your folks. If you're on YouTube, go ahead, still comment, and then share this with your community. We want to spread out this thing as much as we can. Listen, this month, we are talking about our theme this month is Resurrection Chronicles. It's so appropriate for the season because this is the Easter season, and we celebrate the resurrection of Christ. But if you're in our email chain or if you're on our social media platforms, you've already seen that we want to not only talk about the resurrection of Jesus, but there are so many people throughout the world who have been resurrected from things that could have led them to death. All right, we're talking about addiction. We're talking about grief this month, and we're talking about poverty this month. All 3 of those things we're going to cover. Tonight, we're talking about resurrecting from addiction. Right? People who have dealt with some sort of addiction and have come out of that and have lived through that experience. We want to wrestle with that. All right. So go ahead, call up your friends, call up your family, tell them, hey, I need you to tune in. Tonight is going to be an amazing amount of energy towards a great amount of time, and we're going to do well. So with that said, I'm going to ask super producer Jackie over at the Amplify Network to go ahead and bring our amazing guests and our amazing squad on so I can introduce. Hey, there we go. Beautiful, wonderful, amazing people. We are live, and I'm going to invite our director of engagement below me to go ahead and just say a few words to you all first, and then we'll make our way around this here square.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Y'all know who I am, Miss Nikki, Director of Engagement on the Well. I am here, y'all hosting last month, and I'm glad to be back and looking forward to tonight's conversation. Yay!
Hey, that's all right. Listen, I want to tell you, man, Miss Nikki, I just want to say to your face, you were hosting last month, and you did such an amazing job of hosting. You were so powerful. I had so many people like, who is she? Let me know. I want to know more about her. I said, look, hold still. Miss Nikki's gonna be on a lot more. She's gonna be doing a lot more. She's got some things coming up with the squad. So again, just an amazing job, Queen, and thank you so much for what how you handled last month.
Well, thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate that. Where's my soul?
That's it. That's it. Listen, and Minister Harrison Morrow is on his way in. He's going to be on in just a second. So you guys give him a moment to get himself together. He'll be in a second. But I want to take a moment and then introduce this guy on the bottom of our screen. He is a dear friend of mine, an amazing guy. Oh, well, listen, they're just on the top. Because I want to save our best for the last. So now that Minister Morrow has sort of joined on, let me go back to him real quick. You got an introductory email from him earlier in the week. He is now our executive pastor here at the Well, and I just want to take a moment to let him just give a few words and greet the people. Minister Morrow, I know you've been running and trying to get on, but say something to the folks, man.
Good evening, first and foremost. I am definitely elated to be here. I'm Harrison. Y'all, I don't have to reintroduce really much. I'm just glad to be a part of the work, joining in something a little bit different, something that is pushing me to go out a little bit further and really touch people. Because I think what we're all about is love. Again, like that's encounter Jesus, become like Jesus, emerge and share Jesus. And I feel like the Well is one of many amazing ways that this community makes that happen. So there's something that we could be doing better, be doing different, or not be doing. I don't know. Any suggestions, any prayer requests, any praise reports, anything that you all would like to see more of? Definitely don't feel pressured, but for sure, please shoot that email, shoot that text. My email personally is harrison@onelovelifecenter.org. So hit us up. Let us know something. Say hello.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, man. Thanks so much for being part of the squad, bro. You are really amazing for us. And then now I can go back to my guy at the bottom of the screen, man, who is a great friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine. He is an amazing, accomplished person. I'm gonna let him talk a little bit first. Angelo, just introduce who you are, what you do for a living, man, and where you're from.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Angelo. I'm a barber. Been barbering for, most of my life since I was like 13 years old. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, first of all, with addiction, since that's the topic for tonight. When I was 15 years old, I just started hanging around the fellas, and everybody was, drinking and drugging. It was, normal stuff to do. But we're gonna get into that in a minute. But like I said, I've been cutting hair for over 30-something years. Ramon is one of my favorite clients. He asked me to come tonight and share some of my story with you guys, and that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? One thing about me, I'm going to keep it honest with you. I ain't going to pull no punches. I'm going to tell you the truth about Angelo. Yeah, because Angelo's been through hell, but I'm here now. You know what I mean? I seen some stuff, but one thing about God turned me around and put me on the right path. Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, man,
Amen.
I can't wait to get into this conversation. Look, I do want to share that, I feel elated to have, man, I met Angelo through another technician, lock technician, since I got to know him. He really is, I call him a master barber because Angelo is not only one of the best barbers I know, but I was telling somebody earlier, he is such a network. I mean, you can ask about a couple people in the city, and you can be guaranteed that Angelo has pretty much cut somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody down
Right.
the line.
Right.
So, and I had to go. I couldn't be on this encounter and not have my shape up done. So I just want to make sure y'all know this here freshness is all that man down there's work. I just want y'all to know I couldn't have been on here without making sure that he touched me up. We're talking about addiction all month. Like I said, we're talking about rising above, right? We think about Easter, it's the resurrection weekend. And in this particular encounter, we're talking about rising above addiction. And so I do want to yield and I do want to ask Angelo if you could just kind of share with us what was your addiction, and when did you realize that you were addicted? What was your addiction, and when did you realize that you were addicted?
My addiction was pretty much a little bit of everything. I smoked crack, snorted heroin, smoked PCP. I didn't really like marijuana too much because it was too natural. but
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, I done a whole lot of drugs. I smoked crack for 22 years. I snorted heroin probably for 14 years. I smoked PCP for like 33 years. And back in 2009, I was I was so tired to the point where I couldn't help myself. It was nothing I could do. I was just on a ride, and God stepped in and had the police come and get me. They charged me and 10 other guys with the intent to distribute 5 kilos of cocaine. So I got locked up. Well, I got arrested, put it that way. And like I said, they charged us, put me on a conspiracy case. I was facing 10 years in jail. And I thought I wasn't going to come home. And the court system really saved my life. You know what I mean? God stepped in and got me the help that I really needed. And let me see. I came home. What happened, they sent me to a treatment center for 60 days. And in that treatment center, I heard somebody say, man, go to your cubicle and ask God to help you. And I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired that I went in there and did it. And when I tell you, September 2009, it just was just like a light switch came on. It was like I've been in the dark for so long that I got the help that I needed. And I came home and I started doing AA meetings and NA meetings and anything I could to save myself. You know what I mean? From September 23rd to 2009, yeah, I haven't touched any cocaine, any heroin, any PCP, and I stopped surrounding myself around people that would do that. In the beginning, I had to do that, but you know, as time go on in your addiction, you know, you just surrender to it. I couldn't win. I had to surrender. Was no more win. It was going to kill me. I was going to die, and I knew it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I did what I had to do with support of my wife and my mom and just, you know, just my community. Everybody, you know, supported me somewhere. But then you still have those that don't want to see you do well. You know what I mean? Some people want to see you do better, just not better than them. And that's real
Yeah,
talk. And people want to
yeah.
see you do better, just not better than them. Yeah. And
I was just
like I
talking.
said, huh?
I I was I was just talking about. I was telling somebody about that earlier. Harrison, were you about to say something? Okay. Yeah, I was just talking about that to somebody earlier. I wanna pause real quick. Angela, ask you this question, man. So many people talk about um, so many people say, "Oh, like I didn't, man. Like if I had known, I would have helped," or, I didn't. I mean, I don't even know. Like it just kind of happened overnight. And then there are other parents who are listening, going, "Man, like, can my kid be one of those people? Can my husband be one of those people? Can my wife end up being one of those people?" I guess my question is, when you like, was this something that kind of just happened overnight? Like you were just like, "Oh, let me try it," and then all of a sudden you were addict, or were there signs, or warnings that kind of led you up to this point that you just ignored? How did it happen?
I mean, one thing about drug addiction, it's a fatal progressive disease. It's
Mm-hmm.
fatal and progressive. It's gonna progress
Mm-hmm.
on you. I don't care what you're doing. Eventually, eventually I was gonna try more stuff than marijuana was the gateway drug for most people. Marijuana and alcohol. You start off with marijuana, alcohol. Next thing you know, you try to snort a little cocaine. The next thing you know, the crack era came, and you snorting, you're smoking crack, and then after that, you just want to just try anything. I know I did. I tried any and everything except shooting dope. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a progressive disease. It progresses on you, and if you keep messing with it, it's gonna progress on you. Eventually, kill you or put you in jail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nikki, are you thinking anything over there? Well, I saw your face kind of like, wow.
I mean, I think everything that he's saying is really powerful stuff. I mean, the the part about having the right community around you, and then like people want to see you do better, but just not better than them. Like, I think that's very impactful to pay attention to, because when it comes to being on a journey of healing and doing better for yourself, you always have to be mindful of the people, what I'm saying, that's around you, or that you used to be around, because yeah, there are people who don't want to see you heal, because that means that it's going to change how you are with them. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they're not ready to change. So they're not going to want you to change, because they want you to keep being at the bottom with them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's pretty powerful, that when you're on that journey of healing and self-discovery, that you have to recognize that for the people around you, and be okay with losing people, because everybody can't rise up with you.
Yeah.
So
Now, Angela, were you a barber when you first sort of started to move into that, into the addiction? Like, were you already barbering when you, experimented with the drugs and stuff?
I had to pay for it. Yeah, I was a barber.
Okay,
I definitely
okay.
had to find a way to pay for it. Yeah, I've been cutting hair since I was, well, yeah, I've been cutting hair in the barber shop since like 1986. I started, my addiction really started in 1987, 88. Yeah, I was cutting hair and I was working every day. I used to have a business card that said I worked uh, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. I would
Hmm.
stay in the barber shop from 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning, cutting hair
wow.
and getting high all day long. I had to find
Wow.
a way to pay for it because I'm not brave enough to steal nothing from nobody or take nothing. So, and I don't mind working. I love cutting hair. You know what I mean? Cutting hair is probably one of the only things in my life that I didn't lose.
Okay.
Yeah, I lost a
Mm.
whole lot of stuff in my life, but barbering and my clientele is probably one of the only things that I didn't lose.
Wow.
I got a question about that. Like, that's so interesting. So how is it that you were still able to function at your job, and cutting hair, which I know is such an intricate process? How are you able to still maintain and function in that while, being high, or, on all these drugs?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I can't really explain how. I just did it because I didn't have a choice. Like I say, I wasn't brave enough to go out and put a mask on and rob nobody or do no stuff like
Mm.
that. So I had to cut hair because like I say, I mean, I love cutting hair pretty much more than anything in the world besides my wife and my children. Yeah, I mean, I
Mm.
love cutting hair. So, and like
Mm.
from sun up to sundown, that's all I did all day long.
Yeah. But I mean, to Nikki's point though, like, I mean, you're cutting hair and you're like high the whole day. I mean, and so like like you had to be like an amazing barber, right? Because you were still able to focus. And I mean, people didn't stop coming to you to cut their hair. So you were. I guess my point that I'm saying is a lot of times people are like, oh, if you're a drug addict, like there's no way you're gonna be able to focus, right? Like there's no way. I'm gonna know if they're a drug addict because obviously the sign is they're not gonna be able to focus. But it sounds like you were a functioning addict. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's what they said. I was a functioning addict on the
Yeah.
outside, but on the inside, I was in so much pain. Yeah, I was
Mm.
I was in a bunch of pain on the inside, man. But on the outside, I just masked it. I masked it for a long time.
That's
And that
really
was going to be
mad.
my question, because to your point, you said you lost a lot, Mr. Angelo, but you kept one thing close, and that was your barbering. I mean, through your struggles,
gotcha.
like that was the one thing that maintained as what I think is a success. You were able to maintain some sense of yourself, and though it was feeding maybe a thing that was not so great, it was a part of you that maintained some consistency. So, like, were you able to really hide it from people? Just like you said, I know you said you were able to mask it in some places, but I would like to know more from your family's perspective. What was that dynamic like when you were kind of in the thick of it?
Well, when I got into the thick of it, I didn't even care about hiding it anymore. I would get high in front of people. I didn't care because I was crying out for help, but didn't know how to ask for it. I was crying out for help and did not know how to. I didn't know what to do, so I just started just I I was just started going nuts. You know what I mean? Honestly,
Yeah,
I started
yeah,
going crazy. I've been homeless on 2 different occasions. I have a wife that stood beside me through thick and thin. I have 4 children
Mm.
that I pretty much took through hell. Me and their mom used to get high. She left me for a guy and caught AIDS and died. So yeah, I've seen some pretty horrific stuff in my life. Until 2009 when the police. I had 11 guns pointed at me and told me to get on the ground, and I was facing 10 years in jail for selling 5 kilos of cocaine, which I didn't sell. I was getting high. I told the judge, I said, I might have smoked 5 keys, but I ain't sell nobody no 5 keys. I said, I might have
That's
smoked
funny.
5, but I definitely didn't sell 5.
Mm,
And from that day forward, man, when you are in the midst of your drug addiction, the one thing that you really have to do, you have to make a decision. And I could never make a decision on anything in my life, but I think that's probably one of the biggest decisions I ever made was to stop doing drugs. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have did it. You know what I mean? That God was definitely the power behind that. It wasn't
yeah,
nothing that I did. I didn't do anything. I prayed and asked for some help with a
yeah. It's
sincere
crazy.
Well, you,
prayer.
you did do something. You did in fact do something. You came to your senses enough, like the prodigal son, to where you knew you were in a position that you needed to make a change. And even though you knew you didn't have the power to make that change by yourself, you knew you needed help enough to ask for it. And I think that's the key. That's the key part.
But
That is really important in that.
can I tell you a story? Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Uh, Prior to September the 23rd, when my wife had passed, my first wife had passed. I didn't know that I had death benefits. I had money waiting for me from the county. I had $12,000 waiting for me. Now, this is an honest story. I took the $12,000 and I took half of it, 6,000 of it, and paid my rent. I paid my rent uh, like in May, June, July, August, September, October. I paid my rent like in May or June. And I gave him 6 months up front. I had no idea that on September the 23rd that I was going to be arrested and be gone home from home for 3 months. And
Wow.
when I tell you that the timing was perfect with the rent being paid and me coming back
Mm.
home, getting back into the circle of my life, man, that was nothing but God. I
That's
paid that rental for 6 months and came back home and didn't miss a beat. And that's when I
wow.
really realized, who was really helping me. I mean, I had to participate in my recovery for sure. I was definitely a participant, but yeah,
Yeah,
God was definitely the force behind all of that.
yeah. Kim Carr comments. She
Mm.
says, Kim Carr says, 2009. God told him that's enough. I have greater plans for you. There's no coincidence, just God's plan. Um, man, I just
Yep.
want to take a moment. Like I'm grateful for I'm grateful to know you because like that's just such a strong story, and there's so many people that I think need to hear this type of story, but unfortunately don't always hear the story. And I think, like you said, keeping it real is part of that battle, man. A lot of people aren't really. Some people don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? They don't want to expose it. And I'm not saying everybody has to, but I think a lot of times when we talk about the struggles we've been through, it's so key to helping other people get through it. And I just want to share, man, I've been watching Angelo, even when I'm in the barbershop, man. This isn't, he's on here, he's telling a story. But part of the reason was I've seen Angelo with even some of the folks that come around every now when we've been in the barbershop or, whatever. And even then, he's such a light source because people are still coming around. And Angelo, he gonna tell him, man. I've seen him tell it like it is. He's like, bro, you need to get your life together, man. You need to get off that stuff. I mean, he would tell you exactly like that, right to your face. Yo, you need to get together. Like he's not afraid to tell him. So he's still doing the work. And I think our barbers, man, our barbers are people that are. We talk about our school teachers, we talk about our pastors, but man, our barbers, our stylists, and all them, man, they really keep our community together, and they don't get enough credit for that. I think sometimes, man. So kudos for
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. Angela, I wanted to know and I want to go back again to like this sort of how you started. I know you talked about it being gradual. Do you remember the first time that you kind of tried each different thing? You know what I mean? And is you tried it where you like, like, was it like, I'm just going to try it? Or was it like, yeah, I'm going to try this to see if it'll get me? You kind of talked about the gradual sort of thing. Like, what was that like? Do you remember that moment?
Uh, oh, I think with the cocaine I remember. With the heroin I don't remember. The PCP, that was so long ago. I had so many days of it that I mean, so many days and different stories of it that it's hard to, depict the first one. But when I first tried cocaine, I didn't like it. When I first tried crack, I did not like it. It took me another 3 to 6 months to try it again. And this time I was with a girl. So, you got, the girls will do
You on the
anything for the
face.
drug. They do
Yeah.
anything for the drug. So I think that's what kept me going for 22 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no
That's
exaggeration.
really interesting. So even though you didn't like it at first, you were willing to try it again for the fact of, what I'm saying, the girl you were with. And like, did you like it after that? Or was it always like, I don't really like it, but I'm gonna do it because I get, benefits from it?
I love that word
And
benefits.
I think you just hit on the butt. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I always gained benefits from it. Yeah, I always did. Even I
Mm.
was I always gained some kind of benefit. Yeah, I did. Even with women or making money with it or just or just anything. But in the end, shoot, I was by myself. Just getting high by myself. You start out and you having you socializing with drugs and alcohol. But in the end, shoot, you by yourself because you just sick. You just tired. In the end, yeah, I was just tired. And yeah, I don't like to glorify drug usage. You know what I mean? It's definitely not something to glorify. That's why at the beginning, try to remember the fun times. It, it's not like that. It's like I say, it's progressive. So in the end, all I can remember is the end of my story of just how I was just by myself in that jail cell, man, just wondering what was going to happen to me. And when they threw me in
Yeah.
that treatment center, yeah, I definitely don't
Yeah.
want to glorify drugs and alcohol because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely not something to glorify, especially if you have an addictive personality.
Mhm.
It's definitely not something to glorify.
So let me ask you this, because you mentioned something I think that is so key, and it's a word that we use even here so often. It's a word that I talk about even more, the word community. And you mentioned that there were a lot of spaces that you said you couldn't count on people. But at the same time, like you were involved in the use of a thing that brought a particular type of community as well. right? Because while you may have had the people that you probably needed, there was a community there with you in a lot of ways. And answer this however you feel. Do you think your community failed you in some ways? Do you think, they could have been there differently? Do you think they could have supported you in a different way? Was there something? Do you think your community failed you? Did you think they showed? Do you think they showed up for you?
No, I wouldn't say that the community failed me, because one thing about drug usage, that's a personal, individual battle. And if you don't want no help, you're not gonna get none. And a lot of drug addicts like myself and addicts don't want no help. We want to just keep going. You know what I mean? So
Right.
So I definitely couldn't say that the community failed me, because I wasn't ready to stop.
Yeah.
And
But
I was too ashamed to really ask somebody for some help or to receive some help. I was too prideful, Yeah, the pride will stop you from receiving anything you need.
Ooh, I got a question about that, but go ahead, Pastor Ray.
Yeah, I got you. I just want to, again, if you're just joining us tonight, we're doing Resurrection Chronicles. Wellians, I see you on YouTube. If you all are on YouTube, feel free to comment as well. I see Minister Kim Jordan. Good to have you on. Make sure you share this with your network and share this on your pages. Send it to people in text. Let them know we're having a great conversation tonight. We're in a series, Resurrection Chronicles. And tonight we're talking about rising above addiction. Master barber Angelo Cannon is on, my barber, who makes sure that I look good and presentable. I saw Jordan, not Jordan, but Kim Carr earlier. She said he's the, because I got this reputation of being one of the best dressed around the conference. She always says, she said, I think now we get to see who's the man behind you looking the way you look. So that is definitely the man behind the way I look. Absolutely, absolutely. But Nikki, you had a question. I just want to go ahead and reintroduce for people who might just be joining us.
Yeah, no. So earlier you mentioned to Minister Harrison's point about the community. Earlier you mentioned that you were crying out for help. What I want to know was, in the community that you were around, or the people that were around you, when you were crying out for help, did anybody take notice, or pay attention to your cries for help? Like, did people see that in you or hear that from you?
No, because I wasn't crying out like, please help me. I was crying out on the inside. Like I said, the outside was masked up. I was smiling, but on the inside, I was crying. Maybe to my
Right.
wife or my mom. Maybe to my wife and my mom, I might have cried out once or twice. But when I feel better the next day, I'm back to the races. You know what I mean? So, but like I say, the pride will stop you from receiving any kind of help that you're supposed to get. And I'm a very prideful guy. So I'm a very prideful guy, and like Ramon said earlier, I was like a functioning addict. It took it was going to take the police, the court system, to really stop me from killing myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm glad you said killing yourself. I want to talk about that. You talked about crying out, and I know so often, right? Like, I think about even myself sometimes, especially in my past. There always, I think we can all relate to this, right? Like, there are moments when we know we need help for certain things, right? But we're sometimes we're just like, well, I don't want to let people know what's going on with me, right? I don't want to let people know I've got financial issues or troubles. I don't want to let people know that I'm struggling to make ends meet. I don't want to let people know I got a food stamp card. I don't want to let people know that whatever's happening with me, we get to this point we don't want to. And I think that's the way to make that relatable, because it's not that far off, I think, from all of our lives to have experienced a moment where we don't want people in our business, but know damn well we need the help. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's here, and I think that's just, I wanted to make sure that that's relatable to the people that are watching, the people who are really a part of this, because sometimes we're like, nah, like we're so far from that, but really we're not that far removed from sometimes being an addict to other things ourselves. We can be an addict to pride. We can have addiction to poverty. We can have addiction to sex. We all can face some form of addiction. It doesn't have to be drugs. And I want to make sure that that's clear. That Angelo says, I knew internally I was crying out, but I was not crying out externally. So I wasn't even asking for help, and I wasn't really even sharing with people that I needed help. That being said, Angelo, you talk about this internal sort of thing. You've talked to me before about the fact that a lot of, and so the great story about Angelo is he's a recovering addict, survivor of addiction, overcomer of addiction. And Minister Kim says, Mr. Angelo, thank you for your truth. Jordan says, thank you for your transparency. You've talked a little bit to me before about the fact that a lot of the folks that you counsel, because you went back and started counseling folks through the same things that you were going through. What have you found that's sort of consistent with people who go through addiction? Do you find that a lot of those folks are struggling internally with different things?
People that I talk to struggling from the same things I did, pretty much go through the same things that I did, but they just, a lot of them just not in the financial bracket to pay for what they did. Like I say, me, I didn't steal anything. I didn't sell anything. I was functioning, but a lot of people don't have that. You know what I mean? I could go in the barbershop and cut hair and get me $50 and run out the shop and go get high. A lot of people will try to, will have to beg or sell their bodies or go steal something, and I never had to do that because I was always able to get some money. So I think that's one of the advantages that I had, over other people. But yeah, but the struggle is real, with the addiction, cocaine, heroin, PCP, all, the struggle is real when it comes to just knowing that you need some help and won't ask nobody, and a closed mouth don't get fed. So
that's very true.
Like I said,
I was definitely gonna say, yeah,
it took the court system to put me where I needed to be, and then when I got there, then I surrendered. So because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Man, I was tired, man. I was wore out. 22 years of smoking crack. Man, I'm telling you, will beat you up. But thank God I'm still here. It definitely didn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
That's actually a question that Miss Kim Carr actually posed that I want to go a little bit deeper into. She asked, is there any long-term effects or health issues to that much drug use? And along with that point, do you remember or do you recognize how each one affected you? Like, did each one affect you differently between the cocaine, the heroin, and the PCP? Was one worse than the other? Like that type of thing.
You mean health-wise, you mean?
Well, the question that she asked was, is there any long-term health effects to that much drug use for so long? Like, is there stuff that you're now dealing with health-wise as a result of your drug use?
Well, I can sit up here and tell you, I have no diabetes. I have no high blood pressure. I have no cholesterol problems. I have no health issues. I have no heart problems. A lot of people, when they stop getting high, they have heart problems and breathing problems. Yeah, I have a little asthma, but other than that, yeah, I have no health issues.
God is good.
Wow, that is amazing. That is a true testament of God's grace right there, because for you to have been on, those drugs for so long and to finally be off of them, but no, long-term health, that is absolutely amazing. With that, so the second part of that question, do you remember how each one affected you? Like, did each drug affect you differently?
What you mean? You mean getting high off the drug, you mean?
Yeah. Did cocaine have a different effect on you from heroin? Different effect? Like, versus PC on the other, or like did they make you feel different?
Yes. You know, cocaine makes you paranoid, PCP makes you hallucinate, and the heroin makes you drowsy.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, with all those combined, I was a nervous wreck at nighttime.
Wow.
I was going in 5 different directions. Yeah, they all have different effects on you. Yes, they do, for sure. And
were you doing all 3 of them at the same time, or were there like
doing the
different
same
time
day?
periods?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on how I felt that moment. You know, it just
Wow.
depends on how I felt. Sometimes I would.
Wow.
So I want to ask a question to kind of get to the heart of something, and I know you kind of touched on it earlier, Mr. Angelo, and I'm telling you, I'm just soaking in this testimony right now, man. I'm just hearing God all in this thing, like
Right.
all in it, all in it.
It's
Uh,
amazing.
you mentioned and have definitely spoke to addiction absolutely being a problem for sure. It is an entire thing. Um, but I wonder, in a lot of those moments, again, get into the thick of it, because I think we're trying to have this conversation. At least one of my objectives is that somebody listening may be dealing with something, and it may not be the same addiction, it may not be the same issue, but definitely dealing with something, and something said will touch the heart behind like whatever it is they're going through. And my question is much less of, is the addiction a problem, more so than is the addiction the symptom of a problem? Was it that this addiction came about running from something, or did it just continue to be a thing? Like, was it the cocaine itself? Was it the PCP? Was it the heroin? Or were you running from something? Do you encounter more people who are running from something, or who are maybe not know how to deal with something in their own personal lives, or whatever the case? However you, man,
And you're
please.
exactly right. The drugs and alcohol, it's only a symptom to what's really going on. You got to get down to the causes and conditions of what really happened. You know, with me, I think my mom and dad broke up when I was, back in 1973. I didn't like that. I grew up in a house. It was 13 of us in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. Uh, my grandfather, he died when I was like 22 years old. And that's probably some of the worst times of my life. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, you're right. You just, you try. It's a coping mechanism. You're trying to cope with some stuff that you just didn't want to accept. There's a whole lot of stuff that I just didn't want to accept. So, drugs was my escape. Like I said, I grew up in a house with 13 people. 13 people in a 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. I slept on the floor in the living room from the 6th grade until I left home and got my own place.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, trust
Yeah.
me, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. It was a great time, but it just like I just never had anything. You know what I mean? It just like I didn't have a normal life with, 2 parents. You got your own bedroom. I didn't do that. My grandparents pretty much raised me, my mom, and my aunts and cousins. It was just a bunch of us. You know what I mean? So I just, and I think I had to cope. Like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I would do it again because I love my family. But it was just a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
So
So answer
ultimately,
your question. Yeah, you're exactly right. You're right.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, it kind of sounds
I
like it.
appreciate it.
And Kim Carr says it numbs the pain, but it almost sounds like the drugs was the medicine that you were taking to sort of numb the reality of what
Right.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Or to
Um,
or to cope with it.
It was coping, right?
Mm.
yeah. I think, and
Pastor,
again, to
if
all
I
of our
could ask one thing just before you get that.
Yeah, no, hold on to it. I just want to say again for all the people who are just joining us, we're again tonight. We're in this month of Resurrection Chronicles. I mean, we have some amazing people that are going to be on for the rest of the month. Tonight, we're specifically talking about rising above addiction. I see our folks on YouTube. Man, what I will say, and I just want to share, is that Mary Rowley, again, thank you for being so transparent. Folks are really just being so, they're so appreciative, Angelo, you being so transparent. Elise, hey Elise, she possibly will be on at the end of the month. She says, thanks for sharing. God is amazing. There are just so many people that are just touched by you sharing the story. So again, want to thank you. If you're watching, please make sure you share this on your pages on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you're sharing this to your folks. Go ahead, Minister Morrow. I'm sorry, brother.
No, you good. Listen, I because that's exactly where I was headed. This young lady who we know is Reverend Sheila Denton, but we call her Reverend Mother. Hey, first of all, hey, okay.
Hey, Mother Nick.
She's on YouTube and has a question. First of all, she talked about God's grace. Let's stop right there. We just applaud on this Monday, Thursday, understanding a lot of what this week and what this even particular day means. But she had a question, and she said, "What do you think of the topic of recreational drugs and legalizing marijuana?"
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean that's really good. From an addict point of view, I don't know. I'm kind of open minded with it. Yeah, I am. I mean, a lot of people smoke marijuana. I mean, and if they make it legal, I think less people will probably go to jail with it. But one thing about it is it's a gateway drug.
Right.
So I mean, people just need to just be careful and just be ready to take the ride for where it's going. I mean, I don't, it's an individual choice. For me, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I can't answer that question. It's just, I don't know. That's a tough one because the state and the county trying to make it legal, or the states are making it legal, so they're making a bunch of money off of it. So,
I got something that's interesting because that's I think twice now that I've heard you say this, that it's a gateway drug, right? I don't know. I find that hard to reconcile within myself, simply because one, of all the medicinal properties of it, from its natural components, and two, because there are like so many people who do smoke marijuana but who don't, what I'm saying, ever go for other stuff, or who've never tried to go for some of the harder stuff. So I wonder, is it a gateway drug, or do you, in your opinion, do you feel like it's a gateway drug more so because the stigma behind it, of it being a drug, a hardcore drug, opens your mind to want to try others? Or is it a gateway drug because I guess because the feeling that you get from it, of getting high or whatever like that, it makes you want to try other substances that are known to get you high. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Reason why I say it was a gateway drug because it was for me and most people who are addicts. I mean, you start off smoking marijuana, and then when you get into that circle of drugs, eventually you're going to run into somebody with some cocaine because you're getting high. You know what I mean? And trust me, a lot of people out here saying what they don't do. Sometimes what you do on the dark eventually going to come to the light. You can you can hide forever, but it's definitely a gateway drug because eventually you're going. I can't say everybody. I can just speak for me. Eventually, what I did, I moved on to other drugs. Marijuana just wasn't kicking it no more. Like I say, you get mixed up with girls and, your friends. Next thing you know, somebody pulling out some powder. Next thing you know, you snorting powder. And like I say, when the crack era came, the whole city was messed up. Y'all remember that if you're old enough. Yeah, the cocaine came, and then you hang around, and like I'm in the barber shop all day long, so I'm running into people coming from all walks of life. So, I see all kinds of drug addicts and drug use and tried a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, but marijuana is definitely, huh?
I do want to. There's a comment you made, and I want to make sure that we're clear about this. Because you said a few things, I want to unpack them. So I heard you say that marijuana. First of all, you said it was a gateway drug for you, and you take
For me.
ownership over the fact that it was a gateway drug
Yeah,
for you.
for me.
You then said, right, like not everybody. And I know, for example, Elise who's on, she says I smoke weed and never try anything else. So there are a lot of people that don't
Same.
try anything else. But I also
Right.
want to make sure, I do want to make sure I point out another thing you said with that, which is you also said, but because I want to make sure we remember that Angelo has been a counselor, is a counselor. You also said, but you also know a lot of other people who have stated that marijuana was a gateway drug for them too.
Oh yeah,
So
for
so you
sure.
do speak for you, but you also speak for a number of other individuals that you have counseled through the problem of addiction, and you're saying that that has been historically, and you have seen that it is a gateway drug for so many others as well. Correct?
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I just want to throw
So
that out.
there's a question in the chat, and literally as you're speaking, Terrence Sams, thank you for this. He said, when times get tough and you get frustrated or even depressed, what are some of your outlets now, or even like you said, as a counselor, what are some of the outlets that some of the individuals that you frequent? What are some of their outlets as well that kind of help in that space?
Now, uh,
Hmm.
fish, watch TV. I just recently bought myself 2 dogs. I can bought me 2 cane corsos that make me happy. I purchased me a house back in 2016. So I bought me a couple cars. Shopping. I'm definitely a Amazon head. Yeah, Amazon is definitely my
Retail
addiction now.
therapy.
Yeah. Amazon is my addiction now. Honestly,
Oh, you done got on the
I have
wrong
so
panel,
many
Reverend. You're on
packages
the
coming
wrong
through the
panel.
course of a day. Yeah. That's my outlet now. Amazon. Spending money.
Gosh gosh
Retail
darn it,
therapy.
Amazon. Yo,
Um,
everybody always attributes retail therapy to females. That's not just a female thing, man. Retail therapy works.
Yeah.
I I want to turn to my co-panelists, man. Nikki, Harrison. You guys are hearing this story, man. I'm just wondering, like, keeping it real to people, like, have y'all ever felt like you have, struggled with any of the stuff that we're hearing from Angelo? And do you is there anything that you were willing to kind of share with the peoples?
Oh. Uh, nah, for absolutely. I mean, I know for me, Um, I mean, I struggle with mental health, in general, and I don't mind, expressing that or addressing that. And in hearing Angelo's story, I hear a lot of the components of mental health issues that I and other people may deal with, not be centered around drug addiction, but maybe centered around just other things. Depression and anxiety is is real and very serious, and there may be different levels to it. um and then just when you're talking about pride, or not wanting people to be in your business, and not wanting to ask for help but knowing that you need help, and uh just knowing that you're struggling, and you know that you're barely head above water, but you trying so hard to mask it on the outside and make it look good for everyone else. That comes from a place of, not wanting people to look down on you or judge you, or, talk about you and everything. Like, all that stuff is going on inside of you internally, and you want somebody to notice and to see you, basically dying on the inside. But when they don't, then you have this feeling of, like, nobody cares, you don't mean anything
Yeah.
to anybody, and it's like he said, closed mouths don't get fed. People aren't mind readers. So that in and of itself can be a type of addiction. The constant worrying and wanting to know all the answers, but you can't, and you want to be in control of everything, but you can't, and you essentially almost lose your mind because you can't control everything, and you worry about the things you control to such a point to where you just kind of you lose it. And there's so many different stuff to go into that, but yeah, I can say that I can relate to a lot of what he is saying in terms of what he dealt with from his drug addiction, just with my own personal mental health. It's a serious thing, and I really want people to pay attention to those who may be struggling with mental health, because it's not just, oh, you're having a bad day or you just feel some type of way. Like it's a lot more serious and a lot deeper than people may realize and give credit to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've struggled with an addiction. It was not any of the addictions we've talked about today, but definitely with the sexual addiction. And I absolutely think I've mentioned that on one of our encounters before, that I was sexually assaulted, what they call it now. I was raped, sixth grade, and that was something that changed the trajectory of my life. And it took me about almost 5.5, 6 years to really get over that. And there was a point where I said, "This is not me, and this is not something I can continue doing if I'm about to like be this man. If I'm about to be, who I believe God is calling me to be." I mean, even at a young age, I couldn't say those words, but the sentiment and the heart posture was there. I knew that I was being required more. There was a healing and a sense of wholeness that I was being called to. And again, didn't have those words, didn't have this super deep meaning or theology, or not even the super closeness walk, with God. I was a musician, so I'm in multiple churches every single week, but I'm being paid, right? So it was a job. It wasn't something that I was so much devoted to as it was I was disciplined for. Um, but eventually, I realized that that whole had to happen. WHOLE. It had to happen. And I believe God started to change some areas of my heart and started to move me out of some circles and into some healthy places. And a year later, boom, moving me into a completely different city in DC. And there were spaces along the way that definitely tried to take me back into it. And for a little while, dibbled and dabbled, but am absolutely blessed and grateful in this moment to be able to say that I never stepped back into that space. Because I believe, and again, this is just my interpretation of the word addiction, is that when you do a thing enough, that it creates a lifestyle of dependency. So I was grateful to never be able to, and God has just been able to do some amazing things through advocating for other people, going to college at Howard and being able to sit on a student advisory board for our Title IX offices, that deals with all of the not laws, but all of the campus rules around sexual assault and harassment, dealing with all those things that a lot of people just aren't talking about but need to. A lot of organizations that aren't defining certain words, that aren't having certain talks with both genders. But everybody thinks it's just a man doing the work out here. And I'm telling you, I'm a living witness. There are men in this world who are hurting. They're hurting in more than one way. So I would just implore our people to pay attention to the people around you. We are called to be a community, and that means being aware of what is happening with the people, what is happening around the people, and then doing your best, if you have an answer, to be an answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to give a on Instagram. Gina says, "Thanks, Miss Nikki, for your transparency." Um, I will say and then Benjamin Garrett, who's on Benjamin, you correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's Elise's husband. And he was saying retail therapy is my new addiction, but I think he is is someone who has been through addiction. And if I'm correct, Benjamin, correct me if I'm wrong. But he says I didn't know it at the time. But I was following my brother trying to be like him. And the other issue for addiction is undiagnosed mental issues. And so, Miss Nikki, you kind of touched on that a little bit too. I will share. I've never necessarily been an addict because I've always been able to pull myself off. But I do want to say this. We've talked about the deeper, bigger issues. But I want to also let people know it's sometimes the small stuff, man. I remember being addicted to Dr. Pepper. Like I was a soda. I was a soda person. But I mean, listen, people always I think people talk about the big issues, but I just want to let people know there's somebody struggling with a soda addiction right now, and I want you to know that a soda addiction is a real thing today. On today, I want you to know,
Hey,
and I
sugar.
absolutely sugar. But listen, I because it's funny. Angelo talked about not having health issues, but I absolutely know that the soda, when I was drinking soda so much, it is probably one of the reasons that I had my kidney stones. And so you know what I
Mm.
mean. Like for every addiction, right? There is something that happens to you that you got to deal with because and I say this and I see you, Angelo. I think addiction becomes something that we put in the way of God. If we keep this real quick, if we take it to the spiritual place, right? God says, "Have no other gods before me." And I just want to
Yep.
rectify and clarify with some people today that sometimes your God is not like in the Bible. We talk about the false gods, right? The golden calves and all the statues. But sometimes you make the thing that you're spending your time with your God. So your shoe collection, your addiction to sodas, your addiction to drugs, your addiction to females, your addiction to males,
Your
like
phone.
that, your addiction to the phone, your addiction to the internet, like that becomes that God that starts to rule your life. And when that starts to rule your life, it does not lead you down any of the path to the 5 Ps because it ultimately ruins your life. So I just wanted to like speak up for the folks who deal with the addictions that are less talked about. Angelo, you about to say something, bro?
Yeah. Going back to asking if any health problems. One thing about denial, boy, denial is real. So I got to be honest. Yeah. When I stopped getting high, I gained 100 pounds. I went from
Ooh.
230 pounds to somewhere close to 330 pounds. Yeah,
Whew.
I've been heavy since 2009. And recently, yeah, I've lost maybe like 40 pounds. But yeah, food becomes an addiction too.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
When you stop getting high, yeah, you just start eating everything in your face. I mean everything. Yeah,
I'm
so
trying to think how many hearts I can put on this Facebook video because food. Listen,
Listen, we not gonna get on the topic of food addiction, man. Look, didn't Oprah say I love bread? Bread is horrible.
right. So I did gain a
sugar.
lot of weight when I stopped getting high. But I still,
yeah,
like I said, I don't have any high blood pressure, no diabetes, no cholesterol, no heart problems.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
amazing.
I
Right.
I know Kirk Franklin talks about his porn addiction, and that was actually a young lady who was going to come on. She was going to talk about her porn addiction. But I think, right, like we see addiction in so many different ways, in so many different forms. Angelo, what? There was a question from Mama Dent, and I do want to touch on that. How? And you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but I know we say the word faith, and a lot of times when we say the word faith, we start to think just the church. But faith is a lot bigger than just church, right? Faith is something that anybody can practice. But the Bible says faith without works is dead. I'm wondering when you think about the addiction that you went through, Angelo, how did you see faith play into you being able to overcome addiction? And was it by faith alone? And what would you say about faith and works going towards getting you out of addiction?
Faith is blind. You can't see faith. And I
Mm.
understand that. Yeah, you can't see faith. You really have to believe in faith. So what really helped me was going to AA meetings. I was going to AA meetings every day. And I was sitting and like I said, I surrounded myself around people who were doing the same things that I was. I really didn't do any too many NA meetings, not too many narcotic meetings, because one thing that alcoholics believe is that if you get your alcohol head together, the rest of your head is gonna fall into place. Your crack head, your dope head, your PCP head. You get your alcohol head together, the rest of your head is gonna fall into place. So I did AA meetings forever, and I still will participate in meetings. I haven't been in a while, but I have a greater understanding of how to stay sober. like I said, like you said, you just have to surround your people. God will remove people without your permission.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna say Benjamin Garrett says something. I think that's speaking right to what you're talking about. He said, people often relapse because they don't make the mental decision to not use. They just try to get sober.
In their
And I
own
think
strength.
that in their own strength,
That's the key.
because I feel like the psalmist. He said, "I look to the hills. That's where my help comes from. My help comes from the Lord." And I think that oftentimes, we ask God for mercy, and we ask Him for grace, and we ask Him for provision, and we ask Him for all these things. But then we also limit God in the ways that we're looking for them. God, and I pray it all the time that He sits where we don't sit, so He sees what we don't see. And I ask God to help our vision, to help our ear gates and our eye gates, the images and the sounds, the things that we're taking into us, into our spirit, man, right? Because how you believe a thing and the weight that you put on a thing determines everything. So God is not dead because God literally doesn't exist. God is dead because you live like He is.
Right.
Yep.
It's your
That's
belief
true.
that you put in the thing, right? The
That's
drugs
true.
mean nothing if you don't put an investment into it. The Bible even
That's
talks
right.
about where your treasure is, your heart is, your treasure will be. So I feel like it's the weight sometimes that we put on a thing, and until we come to ourselves, whatever that looks like, until we come to ourselves and say, "Hey, this is not me," and start to make active decision and active, decisive change, it's not going to happen. So I want anybody here listening that is struggling with something, that is trying not to fall back into something, that is trying to get away from something or someone, right? Let's talk about people. We're not going to even get
Yep.
into idle conversation. But the point being, whoever is listening, I need you to hear, number one, you are not alone. Let's start there. I want you to know that if you don't see a physical person, God is always with you. He has gone nowhere. He is not ashamed of you. He is not embarrassed to be called your God. He is proud to still be in communication with you, but He wants to be in communication with you. I want you to know that God's hand has not gone anywhere. He just needs you to reach out. And I pray that whoever is listening, number two, would come to self, would find some sense of identity, some sense of something to live for, or something to move for, something to get clean for, something to not just be sober, but something to be made whole for.
I got an awesome point to that, to piggyback off of what you were just saying, Minister Harrison. There was a story of when Jesus was in his hometown, and he was trying to heal people and perform miracles, but because of their lack of belief, because they knew him, ain't that Joseph's son, who is he? It's Jesus, being the Son of God,
In his
could not
hometown.
perform many miracles there because of their lack of belief. So to your point, it starts with your belief and your faith, and you have to take that step. The woman with the issue of blood, nobody else would help her. She had come to her wit's end, but because of her step of faith and her action to go to Jesus herself, she made a decision like, look, I'm not about to continue living with this. I'm going to go to Jesus. I don't care what nobody else says. I don't care if I'm not supposed to be around nobody. I don't care if I'm supposed to be isolated. I am making the conscious decision that I want to be changed. I want to be healed. I'm going to see Jesus. And it's the same in my own journey. I had to make the conscious decision to get help, because in our community and even in my family, therapy was shunned. It's like therapy was only if you was crazy, and ain't none of us crazy. So you don't need no therapy. No, I had to make the conscious decision like, no, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I've been trying to manage this for so many years by myself, and I failed every turn and have been falling back into this dark hole. If I'm going to continue to be on this earth and fulfill my purpose, I have to do something. And I had to come to that decision myself to go to therapy, to seek out the help that I need. Even if that meant me getting on medication, I had to do what I had to do. To Angelo's point, he did the same thing. He had to come to that realization of, look, I'm sick of being sick and tired. I've got to do something. And I think that is important for everyone listening here today. You don't have to do it in your own strength. You can't do it. You can't do it in your own strength. Like, I'm telling you, you can't. Be okay with the fact that you can't do it on your own. You need help. And however God gives that help to you is how he gives it to you. But recognize that you need help and be okay with yourself and admitting, I need help, and seek it. Ask for it. It's okay. God does not want you to suffer through this alone. And he will lead you where he needs to lead you in those instances. That's all I got to say.
I appreciate it. Listen, we're going to close in just a few seconds. I do want to get to a quick comment. Benjamin Garrett says, when you have an addiction, you can't rely on your own thinking. Your best thinking got you addicted. So you need to get outside of yourself. I want to say it one more time. And I think Benjamin has kind of shared with us that he's been through the addiction as well. He says, when you have an addiction, you cannot rely on your own thinking because your best thinking got you to the place where you're
Got you
addicted.
there. Got you there.
You gotta rely outside of yourself.
I'm sorry. Please say that again.
Yeah.
Please just one more time.
One more time for people back.
That was so good.
No, it's cool.
Please say that again.
Poets always say rewind. But he says, when you have an addiction, you cannot rely on your own thinking. Your best thinking is what got you addicted. You need to get outside of yourself. And I'm going to end in just a few seconds, but I want to, Angelo, you that resonated with you. How does that resonate with you? Does that make sense to you, what he's saying right there?
Man, that was one of the best things said tonight. Yeah, my best thinking got me where I was. It sure was. My best thinking put me where I was. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was so spiritually bankrupt. It was just incredible, man. And like I said, like he said, I had to let somebody else think for me. I had to unlearn and relearn again a whole bunch of everything.
Yeah,
man. Just thank God for God. I do.
Angelo, is we're going to close down, man. I wonder, and I'm thankful for. I'm so grateful for all three of you. Angelo, thank you for being a part of our platform. Harrison, I know, and Miss Nikki, Minister Morrow, the folks have said thank you for your transparency. The thing that we do here at the Well, again, is we want to keep it real. So many people go to a traditional church, and listen, there is nothing wrong with a traditional church. If you find a good one, get into it. But I'm aware that a lot of times you don't feel like you can talk about this stuff in the traditional church. So that's why we created the Well, so that we can have the conversations that you don't always feel you can have here. And we're going to keep it 1,000% real. We don't sugarcoat. We're going to keep it real. We're going to have these type of conversations. And all month we're going to have these conversations. I mean, we're talking about rising above addiction tonight. Next week, we're talking about rising above grief. And then at the end of the month, again, I know Elisa is on, and we're going to talk, but I believe she's going to be a part of a conversation about rising above poverty. But, Angelo, I want to close with this thought. If there were folks that are either dealing with addiction themselves or know people in their family or close to them that are dealing with addiction, because that's a whole nother thing. It is hard to walk that rope of someone being close to you who is struggling with addiction. And I think, Elisa, when you come on, I'd love to talk to you about that too. But what if there's anything you could share with them that will help them to start the journey towards finding health or becoming an overcomer, what's the thing that you would share with them, man?
If I could tell somebody how to overcome drug addiction, first thing I would tell them is to be honest with themselves and admit that they have a problem. Yeah, you got to be honest with yourself and admit that you have a problem. If your life is unmanageable because of your drug addiction or whatever you're doing, man, get some help and talk to somebody first. Yeah, talk to somebody. And and get out of denial and admit to yourself that you do have a problem.
Yep.
And if you need some help, man, they have so many hotlines and people that you can talk to, and it's so many treatment centers out here, man. They can get you some help. Yeah, I was downtown in Miss Snyder's shelter for 60 days, And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, but first you got to be honest with yourself. Admit that you do have a problem. You know, if you got a problem, man, talk to somebody. You know, call me, call Ramon, call Minister Morrow, call Miss Nikki, call somebody, you know, call somebody in your network that's going to help you.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen.
And
Amen.
don't try to
Amen.
do it on your own.
No.
Do not try to do it on your own. Trust me.
No.
Like everybody said, yeah, your best thinking got you got me right where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the same ride, on that merry-go-round, and could not get off.
Couldn't get off.
Well,
Mr. Benjamin
Mama
actually
did.
said that to that point. He said acknowledgement of the addiction is key. No matter what type of addiction it is, it don't have to be necessarily drug addiction. Whatever your problem is,
Right.
acknowledgement is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
Listen to
honest
all
with
our
you.
folks that. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no. I said
No. Yeah.
to thine own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, this again is the well encounter. You've been a part of this tonight. Even if you came in late, go back, rewatch it from the beginning. It's been such a healthy conversation. And then if you watch it, make sure you comment, even in the rewatch. Comment, let us know that you've rewatched it. Share it. We always see who has shared it, so please share it. There's tons of people who I think would benefit from this type of conversation. Tonight, we thank the Amplify Network for being a super producer, Jackie, and I see Terrence was on tonight, her husband, who are both over the Amplify Network, so we appreciate you both. To my man, Benjamin Garrett and Elise, thank you both for coming on tonight. I look forward to having a conversation with y'all towards the end of the month. Everybody who's been a part of our conversation, listen, if you want to be a part of the well, it's real simple. If you want to encounter this group and this community of people, all you have to do is get in touch with us either on our social media places. So you can follow us on both Instagram and Facebook at Encounter the Well. That's it. You just follow us there and become a part of our community. Or you can reach out to us at our website, www.encounterthewell.org. Make sure you reach out to us. Let us know you're looking for community. You want people who are not afraid to keep it real and have these type of conversations. Also, look, it takes a community to keep this thing going. And we are always in need of your support financially. So if you want to support us financially, you can text to give any dollar amount to the numbers 84321, just like it is in the picture. You can send us that $100 or $2 or $5. Every little bit helps us because it does cost for us to continue this program. We believe God is always going to give the supply. So we are all wealthy in his name. Listen, if you have ideas for a conversation, again, just let us know what that is. Next week, we're going to talk about rising above grief. For the folks out there who have been through hurt or loss or experiencing some sort of grief in your life, we're going to talk about that. And we have, oh my God, amazing folks that are coming on. Some folks that have experienced loss at a major place. We have one lady coming on who lost her 12-year-old daughter to gunshots. And we possibly have some other folks coming on who have lost their kids as well. A powerful conversation. So make sure to tune in next week. Angelo, Master Barber, best barber in the DMV, man. I don't know if you're looking for clients. Are you still looking for clients, brother? I know you stay
I need a haircut, brother.
I mean, I'll take them.
Yeah.
I'll
So
try to
Angelo,
fit
how
them
can
If
in.
you could tell the people, Mr. Angelo, how can people reach you?
You can reach me at 240-351-1045.
That's
Or my
it. And if you
Facebook
can't,
page, Angelo Cannon.
Angelo
I don't
Cannon,
really
that's
do
it.
Instagram.
And if you can't reach them, just reach out to me. I've got the
Yeah.
contact information,
That's
and
right.
I'll
Call
make sure that
Ramon.
you guys can get. That's it. Man, Angelo,
Right.
we can't thank you enough. We again appreciate you, Miss Nikki, Minister Morrow, Jackie, and Terrence of Amplify. Listen, until next week, we thank y'all for joining. And if you need a community, please feel free to reach out to us if you want to know more about who is God. Like, does God really allow these amazing conversations? Can we really be Christians and still talk about all this stuff and really be real? Yes, you can. Join in with the community of the well, and we got your back. Until then, we love you, and there is absolutely nothing that you can do
Nothing you
about it.
can do
See you
about
next week.
it.
Nothing at all. You have a good one.
Good night.
Peace.
Mm, mm, mm.